AI isn't going to replace your job, or so say some experts. But then why does it feel impossible for some people to get a job today? And in a world where AI can do more than ever before, what makes a human worker stand out? Welcome back to the Work It podcast. My name is Nat, and today we are talking about employment in the age of AI. What's changing, what's not, and what skills do human workers need to stand out? Joining us today on the Work It Couch is LinkedIn's Chief Economic Opportunity Officer, Anish Raman. Anish, welcome to the Work It Set. So today we're here to talk about the skills that people need in this AI age, right? And one of the people that come to mind when we're talking about soft skills, communication, charisma, and all that is, former president of the US, Barack Obama, for whom you were a speechwriter, right? So I want to ask, do you ever just scroll on TikTok and Instagram, see a clip of Obama speaking and just go like, I wrote that?
Well, the thing about it's one of the coolest jobs in the world you can ever have as an American to be a presidential speechwriter, period. And then to do that for one of the greatest communicators that the White House has ever seen is both cooler and also more humbling, because you know that whatever you wrote, he could have or would have made better if he had more time and could have written all of his speeches on his own. But then even as kind of a leader, especially as a communicator, he just always stayed human. He spoke human. He was human. I mean, he and Michelle were so recently removed from normalcy when he became president that they retained that. They kept that sort of just everyday element to who they were. And so with speeches, we would always first think about who's in front. I mean, when you're president, sometimes you'll think, okay, I'm speaking to the cameras to make the news headlines that shape the cycle around the policy I'm trying to advance. He always focused first on who's actually in this room.
Right.
Why are they here? What do they care about? Who are they? What are the challenges they're facing? And then whenever he would speak of anything, especially policy, which can be really dry and uninteresting, it always went back to that human condition. We are human and we spoke human.
I love that, the focus on the humanity, because AI being everywhere, it means so much more for a worker to be human.
Yes.
What do you think people should think about when they are applying some of what you've just said about Obama being a great communicator to them being in the workplace?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with empathy. You always want to be able to see the other perspective, see where someone's coming from. And then, if you're in a workplace, especially where you're just trying to build something, you're trying to grow a business, the more it's a win-win, the better. If I'm just coming to you and saying, I think we should do this, this will be great for me, I have an idea, we should do it no matter what. But instead, hey, I'm thinking about this, what are you thinking about? Oh, you've got this problem you're trying to solve, I've got this problem I'm trying to solve. If I do this thing, it helps my problem and your problem. Do you want to be in this with me? So that, I think really thinking about the partnership, but starting from a place of empathy is the way to go. And that's true for politics. That's true for business. That's true for life. Even as a parent.
Now, I want to double click on that point of empathy that you just spoke about, because, you've written a book titled Open to Work. And in it, you say that human skills are becoming much more valuable in this day and age, like we just talked about, especially with these 5 C's. Curiosity, courage, creativity, compassion, and communication. Now, of course, these are nice things that I want to have with my colleague, but what's changed now that these descripting terms have moved to become a competitive advantage for someone looking for a job?
AI.
Okay.
So a brief history of work for humans. Up until about 300 years ago, work for all humans was to some degree or another entrepreneurial. It was about figuring stuff out, being resilient, adaptive, inventive, come up with civilization, to come up with the monetary order. So humans were all being humans at work. Lots of issues. Labor was brutal. Protections weren't there. Feudalism, all that. But the day-to-day of what it meant to be human was very entrepreneurial, which includes pulling from all the C's that you mentioned.
Right.
Then the steam engine arrives, and we began what's called the industrial age. And across the last 300 years, work has been entirely, largely about the efficiency and the speed and scale of production of goods and services. In the course of that period, the technical skills mattered most. Efficient processing of information, efficient analysis, all the skills related to the technology of the time mattered the most. Ability to run the engines, ability to create software, ability to use the latest, CRM tool.
Mm-hmm.
So over those 300 years, you would be correct to say, I don't think work values these soft skills. In fact, I know work doesn't value these soft skills because we call them soft. The hard skills were the technical skills. What's changed is the machines are going to out-machine us now.
Mm-hmm.
We have now, along the way of doing machine-like work, invented this machine in AI with quantum computing, machine learning, robotics. The machines are about to out-machine us. They are going to be better machines than we ever could be. And that's okay, because we're not machines, we're humans.
Right.
But what's paradoxical about AI is that for 300 years, we have been serving the technology of our time. AI is the first technology that will serve us, in part by liberating us from having to be machine-like at work, but also AI represents the easiest to use technology humans have ever created. You just talk to it. And it's the most democratizing technology humans have ever created. It democratizes access to knowledge, to know-how, to expertise. You want to build a business, you have an idea, but you have no idea about sales, marketing. Okay, the tools can help you close those gaps.
Right.
Democratizes access to building, testing, prototyping. You want to build a business, you actually know the sales and marketing mindset, but you don't know how to build an app. Tools will help you do that now. So it not only is going to be a force for change that is going to put the mind at the center of work, no longer the machine, but it is a tool for change. It is an agency-inducing tool that we all now have.
Right. But I would argue that if AI is the future, wouldn't it also be true that you need to prioritize the hard skills that people have in order to operate AI AI prompting or AI coding?
What is AI prompting? It's communication.
That's true.
The future is not AI, it's humans with AI. Unless you want to be in the building of AI, which is an important and interesting job. This is
and lucrative.
and lucrative.
Not to forget.
Yeah. So this is, I want to do machine learning, robotics, cloud, all that. That is not going to be work for like 90% of us. Now, for the 90% of us who aren't doing that, it used to be, well, you have to go learn things adjacent to it. You got to learn how to like kind of semi-code or use all these technologies like email and know how to use CRM systems. You literally just talk to AI. You just, like you would with another human, give it the right context, give it the right direction, check its work. So the only technical skill for non-technical jobs are this 5 C's. And I think we've overcomplicated AI skilling. We have millions of courses and millions of credentials, and we say AI literacy, AI skills. So I think for the average worker, it feels like, oh, this has got to be complicated. And if it's just using the tool, that doesn't count. That counts. That's your AI fluency.
But right now, if we're talking about these people with soft skills, are employers genuinely seeing employees with these soft skills when it comes to promotions? It still seems to me like these soft skills, these 5 C's, describe a personality hire more so than someone who's on a fast track to a promotion.
I mean, we're living in the old world and the new world at once. So if you are like, I don't believe anything this guy's saying if I don't see it today, then you're not going to believe anything I'm saying, but you're also not going to do the work for the world that's going to be here in 5 to 10 years, and you're going to be way behind. Are employers building new work and building new organizations slowly? I mean, a lot of them are dealing with the capital expenditure, the AI tools. A lot of where the focus is just AI aptitude. We get that this is a big new technology. We're not quite sure exactly how it's going to play out, except we know that we're all going to be using it. So the big focus right now is just, are you using AI? Now, we're slowly getting to a place where it's like, well, what are we doing with the AI? So I think the hard thing to realize is like, this isn't going to play out overnight, and it's going to play out differently for all of us. So what you need to do is focus on what you can control. Don't get better at these 5 C's because you expect your boss to promote you tomorrow.
Okay.
Get better at these 5 C's because you feel greater agency and control over your career, because you know those are durable skills. Start using AI not because you expect by using it tomorrow you're going to end up with a lucrative salary overnight because you use AI. Use AI because you're like, oh, I need to just start to get to know what this is and know what it's good at, what it's not. Who knows how long it'll play out for all these things to change, but I promise you, just by doing that daily work, it's like going to the gym. You're just going to feel more situated in the midst of all this change.
Right. So coming from the perspective of someone who may be unemployed, right, going up against hundreds of applicants, how does having compassion
Yeah.
or courage or curiosity actually help?
So you've got to start using these like human capabilities even on your job search. So if you're going for a job, here's what we know is true globally. It's a
Mm,
tough hiring market, especially for young workers. We do know that most of our data suggests that's about the macro environment, it's about interest rates, but certainly the uncertainty of what AI is going to do to work is in that swirl. We do know now, a couple of years into this, that entry level work is not going away, which
mhm,
we've been saying from the start. It's changing, but it's not going away. If I had to pick two things I would hire for right now, it's entrepreneurialism and AI fluency.
mm,
Younger folks have that in spades. If you're someone who has a CS degree, let's go to the most technical of folks. Old work, that was the golden ticket. You couldn't get hired quick enough by tech. Now, harder to get hired in tech.
mm.
And it's harder to even get an interview because AI tools are making everyone apply to everything and recruiters are sifting through it. Okay. Does that mean your CS degree is irrelevant? No. It just means you've got to pivot. Okay. Use the 5 Cs. Be curious. Tech isn't hiring, but healthcare's hiring tech workers now. Consulting's hiring tech workers because they're all building technology. They need CS majors. Okay, I have CS. What does that mean? It means I can think at a systems level. It means I can solve problems in this like really analytical way. Okay, that can be used in a number of ways. Go work at a small business as they're building. Maybe that translates into operation support. So be curious. Be creative about your network that you're building. I mean, no one ever succeeds alone.
For sure. These days, anyone can use AI to write a cover
Yeah.
letter, to draft their resume,
Yeah.
do up a presentation even. So, how can employers tell the difference between someone who's genuinely a strong communicator
Yeah.
versus someone who's just good at prompting with AI, especially when it's a fresh graduate who has maybe limited experience
Yeah.
to show for? So, what are employers doing to differentiate between the two?
So I'm sure you've heard the term AI slop that's
Yeah.
emerged. Before AI slop emerged, there was this great fear that because AI could write, that meant we were done being necessary to writing as humans. And then humans do what humans do, which is we reject anything that feels generic, that doesn't feel authentic. And so AI slops emerge, and now we're focused on human taste. The same is true for this.
Mm.
So if you're using the tools to write a cover letter and sending it in, don't forget that at the other end of that is someone seeing everyone else do the same thing. I've talked to a couple of employers who said how remarkable it is that all the cover letters are exactly the same. I
Yeah.
mean, in some cases, exactly the same structure, language,
They're
sentences.
using the same models as ChatGPT.
Yeah, or they'll have like an assignment or a presentation that they'll do as a case study, exactly the same. So on the employer end, that's AI slop.
Right.
And so you have immediately disqualified yourself. You thought maybe you're getting credit for using the tools, but we're past that phase.
Yeah.
It's now you are one of.
Mm.
So now what happens? Okay, I'm going to use a tool to do a draft of a cover letter. Maybe it gets me further than I would have on my own, or gets me quicker there than if I had started with a blank page. Now, what am I going to do to make it me?
Mm.
Where am I going to really add in stuff that lets me, break through? And how am I going to do that in ways that translate my strengths to this employer? What's unique about their challenges? Use the tools, research that company. What are the challenges they're facing? What are the skill sets they're looking for? Have the tools help you or connect those needs against your experience.
I want to focus on one of the 5 C's that I
Yeah.
think is a little bit contentious when it
Yeah.
comes to being a soft skill:
Mm-hmm.
creativity. We often hear that it's a uniquely human skill, but AI now generates
Yeah.
ideas in seconds. So, what does being creative
Yeah.
actually look like today when you're competing not just with your peers, you're competing with AI as well?
Yeah. I mean, I love this question because I think of the 5 Cs, this is the one for like the great debates.
Yeah.
So I would disagree with you in terms of you're coming at it from like, well, AI can do creativity, so it's no longer uniquely human. Another place, this is the power of stories. How do you build the argument? How do you build the logic? Another place you could start with creativity is for most of us, we don't think creativity is a skill. We think it's a talent.
Mm.
Some people are creative. Most of us aren't. And so if you're not creative, you can never be creative. And what's powerful about the 5 Cs is it's based on neuroscience and research that all of them are skills, not talents.
Right.
We can all be creative and more creative. So now you start with the power of AI in that. What AI allows is anyone now has access to the arena of creativity. I have in me a unique story. We all do. A unique view. We all do. Unique passions, unique interests. I see the world in a unique way. We all do. but I'm not creative. So I can't turn that into a compelling essay, into a video, into a movie, into music. Well, now with the tools, I actually have a lower bar of entry into creativity.
Mm.
It's sort of like lowers the floor so anyone can be part of it. Now, if all I do is say, I have an idea, AI, produce a thing, and then I push it out, we're all pushing out things that are being built by the same generic
You're
LLM.
pushing out the baseline.
And what happens? Again, AI slop.
Yeah.
We reject it. So the good news is AI helps more people be creative. And the other good news is that humans reject it if all creativity starts to look the same.
Mm.
So now authenticity is what's going to break through. It's the same as the cover letter. How do I take something that's uniquely me and build on what AI is doing?
Right. So you're saying it's not as if we are competing with AI in terms of creativity. It's a tool that we're working with.
Yes.
And it just means that the bar for creativity is higher now.
Yes.
Because
Or lower if you were someone
lower,
who didn't
yeah.
think that you could be creative. I mean, this is the whole thing. It's not human versus AI.
Mm.
It's human versus human with AI. And there are different ways to think about that. I got asked when I was in London by a woman in her 50s who's a hairdresser. She said, do I have to think about AI at all? It's a great example of a person who the world around her is probably telling her, no, your job's not vulnerable to AI. You literally cut hair, you do all these human durable skills. Until robots are ready to cut hair, you're fine. And I said, well, yes, that's true for you right now. But there's a hairdresser down the street who's using AI to clear out paperwork, to take on one more customer that day, who's like, I could sell this business differently, like what I am unique at, but I don't know how to do marketing. I don't know how to sales. I'm not creative. I can't do a poster. I can't do a deal. I don't know how that works. Okay, they're using the tool to figure that out. So they're now growing their business in big new ways with AI that you're not, by not using AI. And if that feels like Hunger Games, me versus you, okay, you versus you. You 5 years ago could not do a whole bunch of stuff if you're using these tools correctly that you today can do.
Right.
Learn new, create new, build new, partner in new ways. So if you are not doing more and more new and cooler stuff as an individual, as a human, then something's off. And that's the way I look at it.
For sure. Okay. So on the rest of the 5 C's, stuff like courage, curiosity. How can you pick up courage? How can you pick up curiosity when they're not something that you can learn from an online course?
Yeah. So first, you can get better at these. And so that's the thing you have to anyone who's human has these capabilities in them.
Mm.
Again, think about, I mean, if you need to start with just your own family.
Yeah.
And think about what it was like for your family 301 years ago. Like just go a little bit further than the industrial age or even across the industrial age. You definitely had courage in your family, in your ancestors. You definitely had compassion. You definitely had creativity. You definitely had, communication, all these things that allowed them to survive and succeed in a world that was tremendously difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who's human has these capabilities. You start there. And then the second thing I would say is you don't just become a new person overnight. So there's a great book called Tiny Experiments, and it's about neuroplasticity. So one of the things that makes the human brain, to me, the most amazing object in the known universe is that while we still know so little about it, we know enough to know about neuroplasticity, the ability for the human brain to literally rewire itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the research is just astounding. Someone loses their right arm or their right hand. Over time, the brain literally rewires to better support the left arm and the left hand. If you go blind, the brain rewires to better support your other senses.
Mm.
So the human brain is constantly adapting to what you're giving it and what it has to contend with in the interest of your own survival. And it doesn't do it all overnight. It does it through small steps. So Tiny Experiments is about how do you build new habits. And you do it through these tiny experiments. For 30 days, I'm going to try to do X or not do Y.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to treat it like an experiment. And after 30 days, I'm going to say, did I do it? Did I not? If I did it, what worked? And do I want to keep doing it? If I didn't, why didn't it work? And do I want to change that? And you're just doing small things in that period. So take courage. If I just go say to someone, tomorrow be more courageous, that'll stress them out. Like, what does that mean? And I'm not courageous. If I said, pick one moment tomorrow to do something you otherwise wouldn't do. And maybe it makes you a little bit uncomfortable right now even to think about it, but not so uncomfortable that you can't imagine doing it. Maybe it's like one meeting where you're going to raise your hand.
Yeah.
And if you want to, like, prepare for what you're going to say or think about it and look someone you know well in the eye as you're doing it to the group, because that'll make you feel safer. Maybe it's, I'm going to go up and ask that person for a cup of coffee to give me advice. And so the message there is that deliberate practice that pushes you just a little bit outside your comfort zone can lead to the mastery of anything almost,
Right.
that isn't limited by just the physics of, are you tall enough or young enough or strong enough?
I love that because, I've had friends come up to me or, new people come up to me and ask me, is it a skill or is it a talent
Yeah.
that you are able to be charismatic?
Yeah.
Like I hate to call myself charismatic, but, and
That's
you're,
so
yeah,
non-charismatic to do. Yeah.
and you're funny
Yeah.
and you're a great communicator. And I would tell them that I wasn't always like
Yeah.
this. I actually, when I was a teenager, I knew that I was not
Yeah.
great at communicating.
Yeah.
I could never make eye contact with
Yeah.
people, for example. So I actually did the same thing where I took it day by day. And every day I would tell myself in one conversation, I'm gonna look the person that I'm speaking to right in the eye and I'm gonna have that conversation with them and I won't break eye contact until they do, or something like that. And then over time I realized no, it's not about the intense stare.
Yes.
It's about, the personable
Yes.
connection you're making with them when you're having that conversation. So I really love that. So some job seekers are gonna hear this conversation and think like, wow, okay, great. Now I'm being judged not just on, my technical skills.
Yeah.
I'm not just being judged on my experience. I'm
Yeah.
also being judged on traits that are sometimes incredibly difficult to get
Yeah.
across in a one-page resume.
Yeah.
So how do you draft a resume for job applications that might not ask for a cover letter,
Yeah.
might not ask for an email write-in, and communicate that you
Yeah.
actually do have these skills. You
Yeah.
have these 5 C's.
Go back to what you can control. So the thing you can most control, part of this has been a study in philosophy as we've looked across human history. So, Taoism, Buddhism, Stoicism. Stoicism, has this 2 tenets. What can you control, which is your character, and then your reaction to things you can't control, you can control. Those are the 2 things. That's it. Okay, so in this scenario, what can you control? Who you think you are. So start with that. That story of self is critical right now. What are the strengths you have? What is the story you have based on the strengths you have? What are the proof points you have of what you've done? I mean, the things you put on the resume, but often we wrote the resume to try and fit into what the job description wanted or what the employer we thought wanted. So don't start there. What you can control is who you are, what you've got, and how you articulate that. Then how do you react to things you can't control? This employer, this hiring cycle, that hiring cycle. Okay, you learn from it, you adapt to it. So once you know who you are, what is the best way to showcase that in a way that makes sense for that employer? People are building resumes in new ways, creating designs out of them, using the tools to create a video resume, being entrepreneurial about it. Other people are saying, no one cares about resumes anymore. Let me just go build the thing. Let me build them the app I wish they had to show them what I think Gen Z would want of their company. And I'm going to do that and send it to them. I'm going to just show up and I'm going to find my way in through networks or through just the hustle of showing up. These are all ways that you take, I know I'm good at this, and now I'm going to see what I can't control is how I break through this, but I can test and try different things.
Right.
So I think, if you look at all this as more work, if you look at all this as stressful because the rules are changing, and you just want to be told what to do so you can go do it and get the job, like, I get it, but also you got to move on from that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the old world of work, we all knew what you needed to do to get the job and opportunity. By the way, most people couldn't get those things they needed to get. They couldn't afford to go to college. They weren't in a place where they could access the things that got them on the career ladder. But you're not going to be told what to do anymore. That's just a reality. If I had come to you that first day and said, you got to start looking people in the eye, like, oh my God, that's stressful. But you found a way to say, wait, let me just do it a little bit. That has led you to do work that you would never have done back then.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's given you more agency. It's given you more optionality. So then I get to come back to you and say, you get to have control of your career. And workers today will have more control over their career than any generation of workers before.
So I think one of the important things I just want to highlight in what you said is that this is not something that will improve tomorrow.
Yeah.
This is something that you work on potentially months later,
Yes.
years later, you'll see the benefits.
It's a mindset.
But for someone who's been listening to our conversation, what's step one? What's
Yeah.
something they can do today, tomorrow to get started on this 90-day journey
Yeah.
to get hired?
I mean, step one for the next 5 years is the same as every step that comes after for all of us, which is do something new.
Mm,
Because we're all in different places. And not only are we all in different places individually, that's shaped by things we can't control, where we live, what stage of career we're in, what company we work at. So there is no one answer to everyone except do something new every day.
right.
If you never use the tools, start using the tools. If you've used the tools, but you're just using it for search or chat, go build something with it, go create something. If you're doing that, but you've only been doing it with one tool, try out another tool. If you've done that, try out another tool. If you've done all that, start testing, what am I using these tools towards?
Mm,
What are the 5 C's can I push myself on? Okay, you're doing the 5 C's and tools. Well, what's the human plus AI that you're testing and trying? It just won't end as you get going in terms of pushing yourself to try something new and start to derive real energy from that.
right.
I mean, over time, you want to build a tolerance for handling hard well. You want to build a tolerance for taking smart risks constantly. You want to be able to fail fast, learn quick, build, but you got to stick with it every day. So I think it's a mindset. Like, I think you'll know you've gotten there when you know you can never get there. I mean, people ask me, like, how do I not feel behind? Because I feel behind with AI. And I'm like, well, that means you're ahead because you're in it enough to know that there's nothing but feeling behind.
Yeah.
The people who are at the cutting edge of the building feel behind. Everyone feels behind. So that's how you know you're in it.
Mm,
So you got to just get in it to where you're always in it.
right. Well, Anish, this has been an enlightening conversation. I hope it's as valuable to our viewers and
Yeah.
listeners as much as it was for me. And thank
I
you.
want to say you
Yeah.
looked in my eyes for this entire time.
Oh, I
So
did. I tried my
yeah,
best, you
yeah,
know.
that's
Yeah.
a new skill unlock. Yeah,
For sure. And thank you so much for being the guest on the
yeah.
Work It podcast that has come from the furthest away.
Yes,
It was a heck of a commute for you.
yes.
So thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you. And now, what is there? Where's the bell? Where's the award?
Oh.
I don't see balloons dropping.
No, this was it. This was really
that
yeah. But thank you so much. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, it's the Ask Work It segment of the podcast. If you have a question that you're struggling with in the workplace, why not write to us? We are at cnapodcast@mediacorp.com.sg, or you can just comment wherever you're listening from. Today, Gerald, we have an AMA that comes from Joey, who shared an experience that many people may quietly relate to, but often struggle to speak openly about. So Joey works in a junior role and says there is a senior director in her company who frequently makes inappropriate sexual jokes and comments at work. So over time, many colleagues seem to have become used to it. And while people may privately acknowledge that the behavior is uncomfortable, nobody really steps in publicly when it happens. Joey shared that some comments were directed specifically at her and another junior female colleague, including remarks about their bodies and repeated sexual jokes during ordinary workplace conversations.
That's tough.
Yeah, so she also described feeling disappointed when she raised the issue internally and was told that this is just how he is, especially because the individual is apparently leaving the company soon.
So it's a good thing for the company.
It's a good thing for the company, but then doesn't it feel like Joey is being shafted to the side? Like, hey, it's fine. The problem will solve itself. We don't need to help you right now. So I don't know. What do you think that Joey can do?
Well, I think, firstly, I'm glad that Joey wrote in, right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad that she's also started to be more aware and of these things being not right, because one of the biggest challenges for people is we second guess. We second guess whether something like that is it right or wrong. There's really fine lines. I don't know, from your own experiences, have you often encountered things like that before?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have. For me, it took place really early in my career. I was fresh in the workplace and I didn't know what to do about it, but it seemed like everybody else was just brushing it off with a laugh, so I would just brush it off with a joke or two as well.
So you're wondering, like, is it me or is it them? Am I just being
Exactly.
overly sensitive?
Yeah, and you don't want to be the new guy coming into a workplace and shaking things up, just saying like, this is all wrong, you shouldn't
Yes.
be doing this. Like,
Especially if the person is of a higher designation, right?
exactly, which is
So-
the case here. It seems to be there's a clear power imbalance. Yeah.
So I do think that, for Joey, being able to be aware that this is not correct, all right, this is inappropriate, I think it's a really, really good awareness already,
Right.
right? Because many of us, we don't reach that awareness and we let it slide. And then after a while, it becomes normalized. And then
Yeah.
this is what maybe most of Joey's colleagues are. They let it normalize after a long while. They just say, yeah, he's like that one.
And it emboldens the perpetrator because then they feel like, oh, I mean, I got away with this, so I'll just do it again.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So I think setting some boundaries would be really, really important.
Mm.
And I think the boundaries would be not just for Joey to know within herself, but also to be able to articulate those boundaries out.
Right. So, but how exactly do you go about setting those boundaries without, drawing too much attention to yourself in the wrong way?
Yeah, I mean, if this person is of a higher designation, I do think that having that conversation on a one-to-one basis would be quite useful. Maybe you can take this to the person and say, I wanted to bring up some of the comments that you often say, and it does make me feel a bit uncomfortable.
Right.
Or very uncomfortable, yeah.
I feel like in this case, it will be very difficult for Joey because she is also the victim in this, right? She's basically going up to someone who has been making very inappropriate comments about her at work. And then she has to take them out one-on-one in a meeting room and talk to them about this. I feel like that's very difficult to do.
Yeah. So before reaching that decision to have that conversation, perhaps do a little bit of a check, like, with people who are your colleagues, whether they feel the same way as well.
Right.
If there are people who also feel the same way, then at least you know that, yes, there is a real issue, and this should maybe embolden Joey to really speak up her mind.
Right.
Towards her boss, her leader, to tell the leader that, this is really inappropriate for me lah. Yeah.
Right. But what if it doesn't change anything? What if, she has that one-on-one with the senior colleague and the senior colleague just goes like, you know what, you're overreacting. I've been doing this a long time, and no one has raised any issues. And so I feel like you need to take a step back and reevaluate yourself. And then they just leave and they continue like doing the same thing all the way until they, as Joey has said, eventually leave the company.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's important before doing this. I think Joey has to be very clear, has certain lines been crossed.
Right.
I mean, even if the boss does not acknowledge and doesn't admit to this, I think it's really good for Joey because she's kind of stating her line. And if the boss doesn't want to change, and sometimes Nat, it's really really difficult.
It is.
For people to change their ways, especially if they don't see it. I think what you just said, like how nobody has said it before. So the problem is you, not me.
Yeah.
It's likely going to be the case. So if it's that case, then after a while, if things get out of hand, all right, and the person doesn't change their behavior in front of Joey and maybe intensifies the situation, then I think it's important for Joey to take it to the next level, to escalate it to HR, and if things gets even further out of hand, then maybe a better job, look for somewhere else where the environment is a lot more suitable.
Right.
Yeah.
So in taking this up to HR, because in Joey's write-in, she did say that she raised this to some people at a senior level, or like she did notify people in the organization that this is happening, and they just said, this is how he is. So let's say in the worst case situation that HR is the one who is saying that. HR tells her, you know what, it's a lot of paperwork to go and do anything now, especially since he's leaving. Just let old men be old men.
If any HR people are listening to this, they should really make it a point to document it down, really, because I think it's to set the signal to the people who are remaining in the company that such things are not tolerated.
Yeah.
Right. Just because someone is leaving, and then we are saying, okay, the bad practice is out, but it doesn't mean that the people who are remaining, they won't follow, you see.
Right. So it's beyond just this one person, this one incident, or these multiple incidents. It's really making sure that in the wake of this person leaving, nobody steps up and takes his place to be the one to make inappropriate comments.
Yeah.
It's a safer workplace at the end of the day.
Yeah, in this particular case, because the boss is leaving, then okay, it's a good thing for the company. But what if the boss doesn't leave? And then this continues to perpetuate, and in fact, good people like Joey might leave.
Yeah.
So what kind of signal are you sending? So organizations really have the responsibility. They need to do these things properly. At least have the HR person at the very least should be that the gatekeeper, to encourage employees to speak up about some such things, and then put them on file, put them on record, so that in future, when things happen, there's at least something to back up the incident lah. I mean, very often, if HR don't do this, and if something really terrible happens, right, then they have to scramble anyway to gather all these evidences. So might as well do it properly from the beginning.
Right. Okay. So for on Joey's end, what are the things that she should be documenting? I'm thinking, what was said by the guy, when this happened,
Mm.
where, who was around, and like how many people were there, and like
Mm.
what their reactions were? Are these the kind of things to document when you are aware that this is happening and you want to make some change?
Yeah, definitely so. So keeping a record of such conversations, if there's screenshots, then it's great. If not, then the people around you, like if they were there present at the conversation and they heard something was being said, right? Then I think they can also be roped in to put up a case. But sometimes it's also difficult. Like they don't want to get involved
Yeah.
in supporting your case lah. So sometimes it's you really do need to look for people who see your point of view and also are nearby you enough to see what is really happening so that they can vouch for you lah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm also very aware
Mm.
that even if Joey goes through all of these steps, documentation, one-to-one engagement with this person to flag to them that it's not right,
Mm.
and then at the end of the day, maybe going to HR or to management to say, hey, this makes me really uncomfortable. It's likely not going to result in immediate changes. So why should she go about doing this at all?
Firstly, for herself, as we've been saying that, when you speak up for yourself, you will feel a sense of empowerment that, that nobody can bully you in a sense,
Yeah.
right? Nobody can bully you and you have your own, you know your rights and you know where you stand, and the actions of people shouldn't determine how you feel about yourself. Right. So I think that's the sense of empowerment. The second thing is, of course, to help the rest of the people in the company. There could be people who will come up to you after that and say, look, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
And I wish I did what you did. And I think this is also helping other people to come to terms with what really has happened, because it could be that you were victim not number 1, but you're victim number 10.
Yeah.
And there were 9 other people who felt like that, but they let it slide. Yeah, so I do feel like this is something that we do for ourselves, but there is an effect in overall making the workplace much better, much safer for everyone.
Well, Joey, you are in a tough situation. We hope that this conversation between me and Gerald was useful, and we hope the best for you. Do let us know if things work out, and you're able to get the right thing done for yourself and potentially for all the other people who are being affected by this person in your workplace. For anyone else, if you are watching, listening, and you just thought up a problem that you have in the workplace, maybe similar to Joey's, maybe not, just write into us, comment wherever you're listening to us from. We are at cnapodcast@mediacorp.com.sg.
I'm Gerald.
And I'm Nat. Remember, your courage might not change everything immediately, but it will help someone else feel less alone.